Hi, it's Penny and this is my 7-week postpartum / Elijah's 7-week of life update. This is the first update for him, so I'll just go right from birth. He was born 6 pounds 2 ounces and I don't have how long he was, but he was under 30 centimeters long, I know that much. In his first week he never lost any weight, so he gained 200 grams in his first week, and then in his second week he gained another 300 grams. Initially we had problems feeding. If you want to learn more about that, I've got a breastfeeding update up, so check that out. But he had issues with his jaw, and the lactation consultants suggested that I go see an osteopath, so I did that. And another reason for doing that was he was quite colicky. He was really gassy and just really unsettled. That was probably about week 3 that he started showing signs of colic. And he also favoured one side, so whenever I'd sleep, I'd put him on his back, or whenever he was on my chest, he would always put his head to one side. I think it was to his right, so he'd always put his right ear down. And the osteopath said the reason why he was having problems latching was because one of the little bones in his jaw was slightly in the wrong place, and so she sort of manipulated that a bit, and that helped heaps with latching. And also he favoured one side because there are 4 plates of the skull that aren't quite fused at the back of the head, and his was slightly twisted around a little bit, so over a few sessions she sort of massaged those I guess back into place, or slightly better, or whatever. And he doesn't seem to lie on that side so much. He still does it more often than the other side, but it's not as prominent, and worked wonders with colic. Like, she showed me a few techniques for winding him and massaging his stomach and things, and he was just a completely different baby. And also, as well as that, she said to go on a gluten-free and dairy-free diet, and that just after I did those things, he was so much happier. And although it's so hard, it's so much better than having an upset baby. Like, yeah. So my milk came in on the second night that I was in hospital, and then I go into this in more detail in my breastfeeding vlog, but I have had problems with engorgement pretty much right up until about maybe a week and a half ago, between feeds. And he feeds like regularly every 3 hours. My breasts would get really engorged, but that seems to have completely stopped now. Yeah, so for a good week now that hasn't been happening, which has just made my life so much easier and happier. So I went into hospital again. I was discharged on the 4th day, went back into hospital 2 days after that with mastitis, and then 3 days later I was discharged again. And I was pumping exclusively for about a week after that, and using nipple shields for about 2 weeks after that. And now I'm happy to say that I only use the nipple shields at night time, just because I prefer to feed when I'm lying down, and we haven't quite perfected the lying down breastfeeding technique without them yet, so it just makes night feeds a lot easier. He wakes twice at night time, so I'll usually go to bed at about 11 o'clock, and he'll feed just before then, and then he'll wake up at about maybe 2 or 3, and then he'll wake up again at about I don't know, 6 o'clock. Yeah, so we've got sort of the night routine sort of sussed. Week 4, our washing machine broke and flooded our whole kitchen, and the first 3 or 4 weeks for me were definitely the hardest, because my husband went back to work and so he wasn't at home, and so just doing little things every day is just really difficult. Like Eli just hated being put down, you know, would cry if I put him down, and he didn't like, I have a Moby wrap, and he didn't really like the Moby wrap because he doesn't like being tightly wrapped, he hates being swaddled, and so he would just fuss and try and like wriggle out of it, and so I would just constantly have to hold him all day, and having to do anything is just impossible. And you know, you have to do washing, you have to have a shower, you have to go to the bathroom, and so for me I really struggled, and our washing machine breaking and flooding the kitchen was like the last straw for me, so I went and stayed with my mum. She lives 2 hours away from us, and Nick was like, no, that's fine, go stay with her. So I was there for about a week and a half, and it was amazing. Just having both of my parents and my sisters move back into my parents' house for a little while, and so having her there just to help out, it just, honestly, it was like heaven. It was like a holiday, really. Yeah, it was awesome. And so that was his, you know, 3rd, 4th week of life, and we started using cloth nappies then. I've stopped once I came back home. I stopped just because I didn't have my mum to help me out, and she kind of did the laundry and things like that, but really enjoyed using cloth nappies, and I look forward to using them again, just wanting to get on top of things and wanting to get into a routine. And I have a whole lot of newborn disposables that if I start using cloth nappies now, they won't he won't fit into them in a week or so, because they're only just fitting him now. Yeah, I think at 4 weeks we gave him a dummy. The midwife said, you know, hold off for the first 4 weeks, especially with breastfeeding. It just, so you know that he's feeding regularly and getting enough food, and not that there was a problem because he had such massive weight gains anyway, but we held off until 4 weeks to give him a dummy, and he hated it. He just spat it out every time I tried to put it in his mouth, and he's got a lot better now. It just takes a bit of encouragement, but loves it. Once he starts sucking on it, loves it, and will fall straight asleep. They are amazing, and I know that they're quite controversial, but we use them, we love them, so yeah. One thing that I've really noticed about, and I noticed ever since birth, and only me and my husband have seen it, and maybe my sister, but he does this real cute, funny little like fist shake thing. It's kind of like he's angry or something. Like he does it when he's finished feeding, and like it's clearly just overeaten and it's just like real full, and it's kind of like he kind of just goes like this, like shakes his fist. He does it with both hands, or he does it when he wakes up, or if you wake him up, or if he's sleeping and there's a loud noise and he sort of stirs, he does his funny little fist shake thing, and it's so cute, and it melts my heart every single time. He started smiling in his sleep at about 4 or 5 weeks. He still hasn't smiled at anybody, or he hasn't smiled at me, just when he's like drifting off to sleep, or I'll see him smile in his sleep, and it's so cute. But he hasn't smiled when he's awake yet, so I'm still waiting for that. And yeah, other than that, I don't really think there's much else to say. He looks at light. He's drawn to light, I think, which is quite normal. And yeah, he'll follow my face around, so if like he's looking at me and I like move to the side or whatever, he'll follow my face, but he doesn't follow objects yet, so he's not so interested in like dangly little toys or anything like that, just mainly faces and light. And yeah, so that's about it. I'll see you next time. Bye.